Welcome to another episode of the Bandage Podcast, a weekly wrap-up of the most trending healthcare news. Each week, we'll discuss the latest in healthcare, health IT, and compliance.
In this week's episode, we discuss how the FBI discovered cybersecurity risks in medical devices, how the FDA added bone fragility software programs, and a lawsuit against the EPA. Let's wrap things up. This is episode 153 for the week of September 19th. I'm Matt Moneypenny.
And I'm Albert Battistelli.
Before we get started, our diagnosis code of the week is Y93.64, activity softball. Whoa. I don't know. I feel like they could have a little bit more of a generalized medical coding for this. Just call it sports.
Like a sports-based injury, but no, this is specifically softball.
Now, don't get it confused, Albert. There is softball leagues for adults that is intramural, I guess is the word. Intramural?
Oh, I don't know, but okay.
It doesn't matter which gender you are. So softball, you go to school and the boys play baseball and the girls play softball. But then you become an adult and then all the adults play softball. So I don't really understand where the difference kind of lies other than the size of the ball.
Right.
And at what point when you're like a 30-year-old man do you decide that you're going to go with softball instead of baseball?
Yeah, I don't know.
I
have no idea.
Anyways,
yeah.
And
then to get injured and have to report that somewhere.
Exactly. And I think, what the point I'm trying to make with all this is I feel like softball is too specific. But what would you call it if it was one sport?
Yeah, ball. I don't know. Let's play ball.
Yeah, activity, playing ball. I guess that would work. If we're gonna go with classic Americana and embrace that culture, activity, playing ball. There you have it. That'll be in the next ICD release. You're welcome. Anyways, first up, we've got FBI warning: lives at risk. Last Tuesday, the FBI issued a report offering recommendations to address a number of cybersecurity vulnerabilities in active medical devices stemming from outdated software. Once exploited, the vulnerabilities could impact healthcare facility operations, patient safety, data confidentiality, and data integrity. If a cyber attacker takes control, they can direct devices to give inaccurate readings, administer drug overdoses, or otherwise endanger patient health. The FBI noted in its briefing that a mid-year healthcare cybersecurity analysis found that equipment vulnerable to cyber attacks includes insulin pumps, intracardiac defibrillators, mobile cardiac telemetry, pacemakers, and intrathecal pain pumps. The agency further adds that research has found an average of 6.2 vulnerabilities per medical device and that 40% of medical devices at the end of life stage offer little to no security patches or upgrades. Shocker, what they're saying here is, hey, outdated Internet of Things devices, aka devices that have the capability to operate and require Wi-Fi to operate in any capacity, at a certain point, they're no longer effective and they are open to cyber attacks.
Right. So protect those or upgrade or get new ones.
I think what's going to have to happen is it's going to have to be you have to get a new one. But see, here lies the problem, Albert, is these tech companies, what they're going to do is they're going to come out with a new version every year, just like cell phone companies. And then at a certain point, they're going to stop doing patches and they're just going to assume that everyone and their mother is going to get a new pacemaker. Well, here's the thing, Albert. If I had a pacemaker, I don't want to get another pacemaker in 3 years.
No, absolutely.
Because then you got to get into my heart. I'm out. I don't want to do anything.
No thanks.
So I feel like there has to probably be some more government regulation surrounding these devices in that they have to have some sort of a lifetime vulnerability patch upgrade moving forward because, being able to connect to the Wi-Fi is cool. It helps, monitor things if you can see your heart rate and it can signify you if there's some issues going on your smartwatch or your smart device. That's cool.
That's true. Yeah, that is cool. Those are good features.
But if we end up in this, post-apocalyptic kind of scenario, I guess, then it's not going to be good.
Yeah, we don't want that. That could be bad news.
Bad news.
All right, next up, structural fragility score coming soon. The current standard of care to determine bone fragility and risk in patients is through bone mineral density measurements obtained via dual energy X-ray. In some cases, other fracture risk software tools are used to analyze fracture risk. This is the weirdest thing I've ever read. However, bone density-defined osteoporosis can miss up to 80% of fragility fractures, and most fractures occur in women with a minimal degree BMS loss, according to the company. When compared to BMD and other standard measures, the SFS diagnostic, calculated from a high-resolution peripheral quantitative computed tomography scan of the wrist, has shown greater ability to assess fracture risk. As medical technologies evolve, the FDA is responding to the surge. So trying to take any little knowledge out of that.
So BMD, Albert, as we know, stands for bone mineral density, which comes off right off the top of the dome. Definitely didn't have to do any research.
Right.
You're talking about all those acronyms and just throwing them all out there all willy-nilly.
Right.
So it seems like, we know it seems like this is cool. You know, we're going to have a structural fragility score coming soon.
Sure.
That's the biggest takeaway. The biggest takeaway from this story is the headline.
Exactly. You'll know whether your bones are fragile or not.
Unless you're a medical researcher, you're probably not going to understand anything we just said. But basically, you will be able to get a structural fragility score soon.
Yeah, and that's what the SFS stands for. SFS. Fragility score.
Of course.
Right.
Right. And as we know, the FDA stands for
Food and Drug Administration.
Oh my gosh. We're like acronym detectives.
Pros, you're right. We are.
Good job. Well done. Well done, ladies and gentlemen.
Well done reading this. Thank you, everyone.
Hey, I hope you're still listening, because next we have EPA being held accountable.
What does EPA stand for? Wait, hold on. Another
environmental health. Wait.
Oh.
What does it stand for, Albert?
Environmental Protection Agency.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. There's just too many going on in my head. I can't keep up.
I just want everyone to know, because we're probably not going to get the acronym.
Get to the story, please. Jeez.
Sorry.
Oh
yes.
My gosh. The Center for Biological Diversity and Center for Environmental Health filed an updated lawsuit September 12th to sue the EPA. This was done to force the EPA to ensure that effective smog reduction plans are in place in 5 states. Human exposure to ground-level ozone can inflame and damage airways, increasing the frequency of asthma attacks, make the lungs more susceptible to infection, and aggravating lung diseases such as emphysema and bronchitis. Even relatively low levels of ozone can be harmful. The areas cited in the complaint include Colorado, Pennsylvania, North Dakota, New Hampshire, and several areas of California. The EPA has determined that the areas covered in the amended complaint have smog pollution at levels high enough to cause significant human health problems and ecological harm. Bum, bum, bum. Smog reduction. It's always something that ends up something that we're talking about, because smog causes, as I just said, like
I don't know,
emphysema. Albert, were you listening to anything I just said?
Asthma attacks.
Yes.
Bronchitis.
Yes. Another one. Makes lungs more susceptible to infection.
Yeah, not good.
Classic. So that's cool. Lawsuit. Suing the EPA is an interesting move. I guess, you know, you're paying the government through taxes, and then you're going to sue them for the taxes that you gave them, essentially.
Sure. And this is another organization, the Center for Biological Diversity and Environmental Health, suing another environmental organization, being like, do your job.
Whoa. It's like, hey man, we're out here grinding. We're out here grinding in a green capacity, right? No emissions. We got to hold you accountable, Mr. EPA. I'd like to talk to Mr. EPA one day.
Mr. EPA. EPA?
Mr. EPA, as it were.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's go to our next segment.
BREACH, Breach Patrol. It's a breach! All of the latest cybersecurity breaches.
Welcome to Breach Patrol. Talking about the latest breaches all across the world. Albert, what do we got? Oh my gosh.
Okay, law firm Warner Norcross and Judd reported a data security incident to HHS that impacted 255,160 individuals. WNJ discovered unauthorized activity on some of its systems in October 2021 and later determined that some PHI was contained in the systems. Based on WNJ's website notice, it is unclear what other organizations were impacted by the breach. The list of potentially breached data elements included social security numbers, driver's license numbers, credit and debit card numbers, PINs, financial account and routing numbers, patient account numbers, health information, and life insurance policy information. Other PII was obtained as well. So that's no good.
So law firm alert.
Right. Nobody is immune to these.
When people think of HIPAA breaches, they usually don't think of law firms. But law firms,
I don't think of my law firm having it. Yeah.
Right? I wonder how this law firm had PHI. I don't know if every law firm has PHI, but I'm interested in figuring out how they had access to PHI.
Right. I have no idea.
Just seems like some PHI was contained in the systems. Maybe that was an oopsie by them.
Maybe.
Interesting.
I'm just not sure why they would need. I mean, I guess you store sort of.
I guess they would. Yeah.
Have on a case, like you'd have.
If it was a case, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Looks like we just both came to the same conclusion at the same time.
At the same time.
Whoa.
So think it out, Matt.
Law firms.
Skills.
But yeah, I guess they are going to have a little bit of a fine on their hands. It's a lot of people.
I guess so.
Next up, U-Haul needs to haul out an explanation to you. U-Haul began sending out breach notification letters to customers 2 Fridays ago after discovering hackers had been inside their system for more than 5 months. In the notice, the company said names, driver's license, and state identification numbers were viewed and potentially stolen by hackers who had access to rental contracts. U-Haul said its security team identified the breach on July 12th, and the company determined that the rental contracts were accessed on August 1st, but waited until the completion of another investigation on September 7th to move forward with sending breach notification letters. The company did not respond to questions about the month between when they realized the contracts were accessed and when they decided to notify victims.
Interesting.
Better haul those breach notification letters to your customers, U-Haul.
Right, or you're going to be hauling out a lot of fine money.
Yeah, otherwise you're going to have to haul deep into your pockets for a fine.
Okay.
As you walk down the halls of the court case that you're going to eventually see.
Don't expect a hall pass on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good job. That was good.
Yeah, so that's it for this week's weekly wrap-up of your healthcare news. I'm Matt Moneypenny.
We skipped an entire story, Matt.
Oh.
We have a whole story
I was
left.
on another screen, my bad. And finally, KeyBank mortgage data compromised.
This is mine.
Okay, go ahead. Just go, dude.
KeyBank mortgage data compromised, as Matt just said. KeyBank publicly announced 2 Fridays ago that an untold number of its mortgage customers had their information stolen. Since then, they were slapped with a lawsuit that claims both the bank and the third-party service provider were negligent in monitoring and controlling potential IT security issues. While KeyBank would not verify the number of affected customers, the federal lawsuit claimed that it exceeded at least 100 people in various states. 100 people. And by its accounting, damages already amount to more than $5 million for affected customers, not including interest and some other costs. The bank was not made aware of the July 5th breach until August 4th. Compromised mortgage holder data is said to potentially include property addresses, bank account numbers, insurance account policy numbers, insurance account information, phone numbers, and the first 8 digits of social security numbers. Potentially impacted KeyBank customers were notified of the breach in a letter on August 26th. 100 seems like a small number of people.
I agree. I think that KeyBank I'm glad that they're, it's worth disclosing this, even though it's 100 people because it's a bank. But even if you have a small breach, I feel like you might as well just disclose it, because I feel like this is probably like, oh no, this is scary, but it's because it's a bank. But it's also like, hey, we're just, if anything happens to your account in any capacity, we're going to let you know immediately.
Yeah.
So That's a good takeaway.
It is.
Hopefully no one's affected by this breach. And if you are, hopefully you are contacting the bank if they haven't contacted you yet.
Right.
But yeah,
KeyBank is my mortgage lender, so I didn't get a letter on August 26th, so I must not be affected. Okay, I think we're done now, Matt. Now we can actually finish.
And that's it for this week's wrap up of your weekly healthcare news. I'm Matt Moneypenny.
And I'm Albert Battistelli.
And see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Bandage Podcast produced by eTactics.